Hello students, welcome to this session of materials, metals and non-metals. In the previous session, we discussed about the physical properties of metals and non-metals. See, here also you can see these are all metals. These are the ores of metals from where the metals are extracted. Right? I hope you are through with the properties, the physical properties of metals and non-metals. Now let's discuss about the chemical properties of metals and non-metals. First of all, tell me, what do you mean by chemical properties? Chemical, as the word indicates, it relates to the chemical reactions. The reactions which these metals and non-metals they undergo. Say for example, oxygen. Oxygen is a non-metal. Hydrogen is again a non-metal. They both react and they form what? Water. Water is a compound. Right? Elements, they combine and they form what? Compounds. So this chemical combination, this combination of elements is called as its chemical property, right? Like carbon. Carbon may exist as coal, coke. It may exist as diamond also. It may exist as graphite. So the reaction of carbon with oxygen leads to the formation of carbon dioxide, which is a gas. Carbon is solid. See, carbon normally reacts in the graphite form, right? Carbon solid, that is the graphite. It reacts with oxygen on heating, of course. So it is heated, and on heating it forms what? Carbon dioxide, which is a gas, right? So in this session, we are going to discuss about the chemical properties of metals and non-metals. About the reaction of metals with different elements. Say metals with oxygen and also the non-metals with oxygen. How they react. How metals react with water and how non-metals react with water. What are the compounds formed when metals and non-metals react with water? So let's start our session here. Reaction of metals and non-metals with oxygen. Let's first see how the metals react with oxygen. Right? How they react. What is the product formed when the metals react with oxygen? Reacts are simply the chemical combination. Metals react with oxygen producing respective oxides. The compound formed on the reaction of metal with oxygen is called as oxide. Right? See, metals like sodium and potassium are some of the most reactive metals. These are the metals. Though they are very soft, they are the exceptions. Right? We have discussed that the metals are hard. They are sonorous. They are lustrous. But sodium and potassium are exceptions. They are soft metals and they can be cut with a knife. Sodium metal reacts with the oxygen of air at room temperature to form sodium oxide. Sodium oxide, right? So it reacts with oxygen at room temperature, forming sodium oxide. The reaction is vigorous. Vigorous means it explodes or it catches fire, right? It is vigorous. Hence, sodium is stored under kerosene to prevent its reaction with oxygen, moisture, and even with carbon dioxide. As sodium is highly reactive, it reacts with the moisture content of the air, moisture that is water vapor present in the air. Carbon dioxide present in the air and even with the oxygen. And the reaction is vigorous. Vigorous, that is, it large amount of energy is liberated. And what will be the form of energy? It is liberated in the form of heat. It catches fire. Say sodium, it reacts with oxygen. The symbol of sodium is Na. You must have studied in your previous class. Na stands for natrium. Natrium is the Latin name of sodium and Na is the symbol. Oxygen. Oxygen is O2. Oxygen exists as diatomic molecule, that is like this. This also you must have studied. These two combine and they form what? Sodium oxide. Okay? As sodium is highly reactive, it combines with oxygen and the reaction is vigorous. It proceeds with the liberation or with the release of lots of energy. Energy in the form of heat energy. Right? So, sodium when exposed to air catches fire. So, this is the product formed. The next is rusting of iron is also the example of this, the reaction of metal with oxygen. Burning of magnesium ribbon in air. In both these processes, oxides are formed. Magnesium on heating burns in air with dazzling white light, forming magnesium oxide. See, magnesium, when it is heated, it burns. Right, with a dazzling white light. It means what is happening? Magnesium is reacting with oxygen and forming a compound known as magnesium oxide. Right? And a lot of energy is released and in the form of light. Likewise, other metals also react with oxygen, producing their respective oxides. Iron also reacts with oxygen. Copper also reacts with oxygen and they form their respective compounds. Iron is forming iron oxide on reacting with oxygen. We are going to discuss about a very interesting phenomenon known as rusting or corrosion, I can say. A very interesting phenomenon, that is corrosion. What is it? Let's see it. What is corrosion? The process of slow eating of a metal. The process of slow eating away of a metal due to the attack of atmospheric gases and moisture on its surface is called corrosion. See, these are the iron nails, which when exposed to the moisture, there is a brown colored substance accumulated on it. Likewise, this is an iron, a part of a iron bridge on which rust has been accumulated. Now, this brown colored substance which is formed is called as rust. How this is formed? Iron, this is a metal, reacts with the oxygen present in the atmosphere and water. See, the water gets accumulated. See, on the exposed iron objects, there will be water also. So, these three react together and they form a compound called as ferric oxide. This is hydrated ferric oxide. You must have seen this rust is in the form of brown powder, powdered form, that can be scratched from the surface. Say if this particular sheet is scratched, the rust or that brown powder will go off and a fresh piece of iron will be exposed to the atmosphere. That again will also get rusted. Right? So that will lead to what? That will lead to a, hole in this bridge. That iron is eaten up. Right? So this is slow eating away of a metal. that iron, whatever is present, say if it is a fresh block of iron or fresh sheet of iron, on the surface of the sheet, iron atoms or iron particles will be there. These iron particles will react with oxygen and water and they'll form hydrated ferric oxide. In which form it is? It is in the form of reddish powder, which can be scratched off, and the fresh metal is exposed. Right? So this is how rusting takes place, or the corrosion of iron takes place. In order to protect iron from getting corroded, what is done? It is painted. So if you paint the surface of iron or paint an iron object, what are you doing it by painting it? Say this an object is painted. What will happen? The surface will be protected. It will not be exposed to oxygen and moisture or to the atmosphere. So it will not get corroded. And iron will be protected. Right? So this is what is rust on iron object or corrosion. We can protect the iron objects by painting them. Right?